Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and before we get into today's podcast about what your ex is thinking during October 2024, I just wanted to quickly tell you about my new free newsletter. This is a way for me to share my ideas, thoughts and concepts as a way to try and motivate and inspire you. By subscribing, you will receive my newsletters directly to your email inbox. They will be text-based, but sometimes could include bonus audio podcasts within them as well. If you would like to have a look, there is a link to my latest newsletter in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing what your ex is thinking during October 2024. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you want to know what your ex is thinking right here, right now. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 things that your ex is likely thinking during this month of October 2024. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is cuffing season. Now, cuffing season is the concept, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere, with people wanting to quote-unquote couple up for the colder, later months of the year. Now, whether this is consciously or subconsciously, this is something which seems to be evident and a reality. There seems to be a number of single people who like to try and find a connection during the month of October, maybe into November or so, making sure that they have a partner during those colder months, during the holiday season, you could say as well. Now, whether or not this is something that your ex-dumper is actively thinking about, or whether this is something which just might drop into their mindset, as I've said, this is something which seems to have more reality than fiction within it. Now, what does this actually mean for your potential ex? Well, they could fall into 2 categories. 1, good, 1, not so good. The good is potential reconnection. If you've been dumped and you're trying to get your ex back, then there is that possibility that when your ex-dumper is feeling the quote-unquote cuffing season feelings, well, they might consider reconnecting with you. Now, of course, this will depend on lots of other factors. How long ago was your breakup? What your relationship was like for breakup and the aftermath. If we consider all of those things, they are likely to be more important than the fact we're in October, but we can't discount the fact, as I've said, that cuffing season does seem to have some basis to reality. If your ex-dumper is in a position where they're 50-50, you could say, whether they want to reconnect with you, maybe the fact that we are moving, again in the Northern Hemisphere at least, into those colder months where somebody doesn't want to be alone when the nights draw in, it's getting darker, it's not something where they feel they can go out into the world as much, they want to almost hibernate. You could say that feeling of wanting somebody to spend that time with, well, maybe they would consider reconnecting with you. Now, does this mean this new connection with your ex will be long-term? Would it just end as soon as the days become lighter again and we move into the new year and beyond? Well, this isn't something which could be predicted, of course. I would suggest that even if cuffing season has a genuine impact on people, if and when they are in a relationship, it is not going to be cuffing season alone, which keeps them in a relationship or actually makes it come to an end. There would be other factors as well. But we have to look at that as a positive. The fact we're in October, the fact we are moving closer to the end of the year, the fact that in the Northern Hemisphere it's starting to get colder and darker, it does pull on our mindset. We don't want to do this alone. And if your ex-dumper is single, this could be something which affects them as well. Now, even if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you're not feeling any of those situations, it's not getting darker, it's actually getting lighter, it's not getting colder, it's actually getting warmer, well, there is still that feeling of the end of the year. Do you really want to be spending the holiday season alone? That is something which can also pull on people within cuffing season. Now, remember when I said this isn't all good. There is good, but sadly there is also some bad. Well, if your ex-dumper is single right now and they aren't considering reconnecting with you at this stage, they might jump into a new relationship potentially a little bit more likely now than during the rest of the year. I don't have the actual stats to hand, but what I can say, certainly anecdotally, is it seems, as I've said, that people want to quote-unquote couple up. They don't want to actually spend that end of the year alone, and whether it is deliberately, whether it's something which just crosses their mind with them not really understanding why, they might be more likely to find a new connection to spend that time with as we move through towards the end of the year. But the positive slant on this negative aspect is, again, there's no guarantee it will last. And if it is a rebound relationship, it won't last. So remember what I said a little earlier. Just because your ex might decide to get back with you because of those internal thoughts of cuffing season, it doesn't mean, sadly, that you could be together forevermore. It doesn't mean that you'll be split up either. There will be factors which come into that which are not cuffing season. Similarly, if they get into a rebound relationship, cuffing season is not going to work for or against them after they get together. Everything else will have more of a pull. And the fact it's a rebound relationship would suggest it's not likely to last the test of time. If your ex-bedumper has got into a new relationship within the first year or so post-breakup, I don't suggest it's very likely at all that this will go very far into the future. What we see is that people who connect with someone within a year or so have a very low chance of it lasting forevermore. So if you do find out your ex is dating or in a new relationship right now, try to stay as relaxed as possible. It doesn't mean it's going to last forever. If there's a rebound relationship, these don't last the test of time. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you have a new hype feature, please hype this video as well. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is focusing on important dates. So today we're speaking about what your ex-bedumper is likely thinking of during October 2024. And when we consider that, important dates are coming. If you live in the US, you have a US presidential election coming in very early November. Now maybe you're not listening in the US. Well, you still have lots of things coming thick and fast. If you celebrate Halloween, that is coming up very soon. If you're living in the UK, bonfire night is just round the corner. These things are just a few of the moments during that early holiday season feelings and thoughts that people will be thinking of. We also have Thanksgiving for people in North America, which is somewhat just round the corner. And that is why point number 2 is important to focus on. Important dates. This is what people are going to be thinking of, and if they don't have much else going on in their life right now, you're more likely to throw yourself into these situations. Is your ex-bedumper political? Whether they are or whether they aren't, if you're living in the US, they might start to take more interest in the election than they normally would because they're single. Even if you're not in the US, even if politics is not something that would cross their mind, as I said, we've got Halloween, potentially bonfire night, potentially Thanksgiving, not too far around the corner either. These things take planning. These things take effort in some regard to decide what you're going to do, who with and where. If you are wondering what your ex-bedumper is doing, if you're wondering what they're thinking, if you're wondering why you haven't seen anything on social media, for instance, it could be that they're getting busier and busier and busier. This is very natural. Sometimes when we think our ex has vanished off the face of the earth, it means they've connected with someone new. And although cuffing season is a thing, as we've already discussed, there is no guarantee that they're with someone new just because they haven't posted a story for a little while. Okay, it could just be that they're busy. They're focusing on important dates. We've got things to do, people to see, places to go, things to arrange. We're in mid to late October now. We're heading towards that holiday season. Things are moving thick. Things are moving fast. The end of the year will be here before we know it. And there are things that people could be getting involved with. If you are in the US, then the election is going to have a massive impact on your lives. And people often want to get involved. They often want to help out with the party that they support in doing whatever they can. This could be something that your ex is doing. Maybe they don't have time to do whatever they used to do ordinarily because they're spending time helping out promoting the party that they want to win. This could be something that they're doing. Yes, they might be on social media, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're helping out in other ways. Now, on a side note, I don't suggest you check your ex's social media. At best, it's going to confuse you, and at worst, it's going to break your heart again. So please don't check your ex's socials. But I know me saying it doesn't stop you doing it. So if you are checking and you're wondering why they've gone off radar, it doesn't necessarily mean they're with anybody new. It could just mean that they're busy, they're planning, they're thinking. Even if you see things online and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't really know what my ex is doing with their life. It's very vague and I just want to know what's in their thoughts. They're probably just focusing on what's coming ahead. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're thinking with any real depth. They might just be thinking, who do I invite to my Halloween party? They might just be thinking, what's going on with Thanksgiving next month? They might be wondering which bonfire night display to go to. These are some of the events and more which could be flooding your ex's mind as things that they need to think about because they want to have an organised life moving forward. They're not with you right now. It was their choice, but they've moved into singleton, and it doesn't mean they've got their life together. As a dumpee, you might think, oh, my ex has got their life all together. They know what they're doing. A lot of dumpers are floating. They don't really know what they're doing. They're looking for a plan, and this gives them opportunity because there are things around the corner to focus on, to think about. Well, this is what they're going to throw themselves into. So if you're wondering what's crossing your ex's mind, if you're wondering what they're doing, it's likely that they're just focusing on important dates on the calendar. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the build-up of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is time out. So you might be wondering, what is my ex thinking? What are they doing? What's going on in my ex's mind during October 2024? Well, they might just be having some time out. Now, I've been doing a lot of research recently. What I'm seeing is that more and more people are going through what I would call dating fatigue, especially dating app fatigue. Now, this is something which I've noticed seems becoming more and more prevalent as the months have gone on during 2024, and it really seems to be at a height around now. So many people am I speaking to, dumpers and dumpies, who are saying, I don't want a new relationship. I don't particularly want my ex back right now, but I just don't want to be doing anything. I just don't want to put myself out there. I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I've done the apps. I've spent lots of time, days, weeks, months on the apps. I'm bored, I'm seeing the same people. Everybody's the same. I hear these types of things, and I'm calling it dating fatigue. Now, I am actually a big believer in dating apps. I do think they can be very helpful. And as a dumpy, you might not want me to be saying that right now because you probably don't want me to be encouraging your dumper to go on dating apps. But whether you are a dumper or dumpy, I do think they can be very, very helpful, especially in the busy world that we live in today. Sometimes you don't have opportunity to go to physical dating situations like speed dating or whatnot. And of course, you can meet somebody out in the real world. That is the way it always used to be, don't forget. But dating apps give you that opportunity to try and build a connection with someone when you're at home just before you go to sleep. When you wake up, you're lying in bed and you just check the dating apps. There is an opportunity there that you wouldn't have had in the past. But I do recognise, and it's important for me to say, that I am noticing dating app fatigue. So whether I think they're a good thing or not, people are definitely feeling this. And through 2024, it seems to be getting more and more noticeable. More and more people are telling me this. So if you are wondering about what your ex is thinking during October 2024, I would say that there is a good chance they're just wanting some time out. They want time out to themselves. They might want to spend time with friends and family, but more than likely, they just want to do their own thing. They might not be with you right now, but it doesn't mean they're with anyone else. Okay, we've spoke about cuffing season, and that is a concept of people who want to connect with someone during those colder months, so to speak, but it doesn't mean it fits in with everybody. It doesn't mean that everybody right now is trying to couple up. A lot of people are going to be thinking, I can't be bothered. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I ended my relationship because I didn't feel it was working. It doesn't mean I want to jump into something new right now. I just want some time out to myself, doing my own thing. And the single honeymoon period that this person, your ex-dumper, might be going through might just be absolutely that, single honeymoon period, doing things by themselves, maybe spending time with friends, but nothing romantic. Ultimately, dumpies, it's important that you focus on you and not your ex, because we don't know for certain what they're thinking about. We can't say for certain what they're doing, and at the end of the day, if they haven't contacted you, then they're not quite ready to reconnect. Maybe in the future they will be, maybe they won't, but it's certainly not just down to them, it's down to you as well. If and when you do hear from them, you have a choice, and you shouldn't be jumping into anything that you don't feel is right for you either. So my advice to you is focus on you, not on them. Take your energy away from thinking about them and put it on you. If you live your life to the full, then you are more likely to get the choices that you deserve. The choice of whether you accept them coming back into your life. The choice of whether you accept dating someone even better. We want you to have that choice. And you get there by living your life the right way, going through self-improvement and becoming a better person today than you were yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than you are currently today.